Trinidad and Tobago seems to live in a constant dance of culture. From its carnival, Hindu festivals, Orissa, Osei, to modern cityscapes, electronic sophistication, and boisterous confidence, everything seems to be happening all the time. But for all that speed and color, there is something missing, an awareness of its past, its memory, and its stories. This is something Kim Johnson, the 2011 Anthony and Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence Laureate in Arts and Letters, has devoted his life to unearthing.
We Trinidadians, we come from everywhere else. We all, at the level of our foreparents, have stories. And I think it's a horrible shame to let those stories die the way we let our languages die. So in a sense, my collecting stories is also an archival function. You know, I have a keen sense that we're going to lose these stories.
And this is how Johnson sees himself, as a teller of stories. He began his career as an historian and a sociologist, writing a history of Trinidad in the Age of Discovery after completing his law degree at the University of the West Indies. He then moved into journalism, where he found what would be a major part of his life's work: the documentation of the steel band movement.
From the Express where I was working, I went up to Tokyo Panyard, which is just up the road, and some of the old guys were talking about their memories. And I thought, every one of these men had so many stories, and that was just one steel band. Trinidad had hundreds.
There have been histories of the movement, but Johnson's approach was more intimate than conventional historians. He wrote a doctoral thesis at the University of the West Indies entitled An Oral History of the Steel Band. The thesis was different not only in content, but in approach.
I found the academics in Trinidad, they haven't got much of a relationship to real life, in a sense. You know, an academic would write a book about the 1990 coup and would not go and sit down and talk to Abu Bakr or people who looted. They would just do it from newspaper reports and so on.
Johnson's approach to his topic achieved several things. It brought history to life and changed the way historical research is done.
What Dr. Johnson has done for Trinidad and Tobago is to show that we in Trinidad and Tobago have different areas and different ways of doing research.
Kim goes into exquisite detail, almost like a detective. He doesn't just ask you and write it down and say, let me ask somebody else something else. Subsequent to talking to you, you'll have a lecture with a view to testing the waters in front of a live audience, where people will stand up and say, I'm sorry, Kim, that is not accurate. I thought so and so. And he will take cognizance of that and those new facts, alter it back, and then maybe come back to me.
In his collection of the stories of the steel band, one of the people Johnson met was Professor Brian Copeland, a professor of engineering who recounted a story of the education of panmen.
In Brian's office, I saw a book by Helmholtz, who is a German physicist that really created the science of acoustics. Brian said, you know, I first saw that book in Rudolph Charles' house with annotations in the margins. And it struck me that these Trinidadian men, not scientists, not even beyond secondary education, and they were so bold-faced, they were so audacious to decide they could learn anything.
He called it the audacity of the Creole imagination, and this became the title of an exhibition he curated for the National Museum of Trinidad and Tobago. It was in curating this exhibition that he realized the possibilities of film and embarked upon a career as a filmmaker. His first feature on the hearing impaired in Trinidad and Tobago will premiere later this year.
Still images were inadequate to convey something that is musical, that is oral, that involves movement, dance, and so on. So as part of that exhibition, I made a short 13-minute film.
But this realization of the power of the medium and the possibilities of technology combined led to the idea of the virtual museum.
I am working with the UTT to launch a virtual museum of Trinidad and Tobago.
But Kim Johnson's achievement goes much further than his doing these remarkable things. According to Professor Patricia Mohammed, his work and example may have brought about a sea change in the way academic research is approached and assessed in the region.
The thing that you set out to study should mean something to you. You should feel strongly about it, and you should go after it. And I think one of the things that Kim Johnson has done is pursue those areas that he has felt strongly about. It allows other young scholars now to see that you don't have to be so confined, to move into many other areas that are not at this point sexy or funded.
Kim Johnson brings a new perspective. For years to come, our students in the BFA and master's programs and even the PhD programs will have information that Dr. Johnson has brought to the academy.
It is for these reasons, for his achievements in helping the society remember and celebrate its past and creating new paradigms in scholarship and research, that Dr. Kim Johnson has been named the Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence 2011 Laureate in Arts and Letters.